do you have a memory from being within a space that was like really significant, and then you're going to catalog in your mind? Yeah, of course, like the library in the atrium, Zaha Hadid's Maxi Museum, of course. I'm like, that's what we want to do on every project. We want to create a memory, an imprint in someone's mind of what it's like to be in that space, because that's what good architecture does. So the name Slice House is derived from the orientation of the site off due north. Basically, this is the site, which means south is here and east is here. So you take that block and you keep the outermost pieces of the facade aligned and parallel with the property lines to respond to the street and the lane. But within the inner workings of the site, you have the freedom to slice and dice the house however you want, because it's within the site. It's not the edges that are responding to the street. The front of the house, under the overhang being on the second floor, which is the most prominent and relates the closest to the street, there is a big slice on the main floor that's directly indicative of due south, and that's where the study is. And at the back of the house, there is a slice on the upper floor that's indicative of due east. And so then when you make that slice, I pulled the house apart, and then that formed the angle and generation of the form on the laneway house. So there's a slice due east, that's for our primary residence, and then you pull it apart, and then that's the form generator on the angle and the overhang on the laneway house. We decided to live in Inglewood for a number of reasons. Mainly its proximity to downtown and the accessibility to downtown, but it has this like small community vibe to it, and it makes you feel like you're not in a city, but you are actually super, super close. And also we really liked that you can just get to a bunch of different communities really easily from Inglewood, which is something we didn't actually know before, but we really like. And it has just such a nice main street, really, really nice main street with pretty much everything you could need in a community and you could want in a community. And our house in particular is really close. So it's perfect. It's really nice because you can walk past a couple historic buildings, which are just on the corner. So the Lantern Church, which they're always doing filming at for movies. So that's really cool. And then there's a really nice historic multifamily residential building. And it's just two, short blocks. And then you're at the Silk Road Merchant and Rosso Coffee and the really eclectic blues store, general store, which is so great. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's super, super close. And then just like even a couple blocks further and you have access to the river path, which is awesome. It's so great. And it's always busy and full of like families and young people, and it's great. To me, what makes a house designed by an architect more valuable, there are actually a number of reasons. For this house in particular, there's no wasted space. So there's not a single hallway in this entire house. Every space is used, and if there is what someone could say is a hallway, it's used as something else. So someone could say that there's a hallway on the upper floor to access all the bedrooms, but actually it's a desktop on the other side of the hallway that serves as a desk. Some might say that there's a hallway going from the living space to the study where you access the bathroom, but actually it's full of millwork that is a storage space. So there is no wasted space. Somebody can dare find some. Be my guest. Another thing that I think is really, really valuable in a house like this is this double volume space that we're sitting in. So you don't typically get this sort of volume in an inner city home from what I've seen. For me, at least, like if I close my eyes and think of the house, there are two spaces that I think of And it's the feeling of in this space. So it's created this sort of memory in my mind of what it feels like to be in this space. And that is, I think, what good architecture does, is it creates a memory which lasts forever in your mind. And another one is, and this is really important, is that good architects will design spaces and program in response to the site. So in the morning when you're having coffee, where do you want to be having it? On the south, north, west, east? You want to be having it on the east because that's where the sun comes up. So the little kind of finger of the house, I call it a finger, that pokes out is facing directly east. So you get to have, your morning coffee with the sun like kissing your back, which is so important. And another programmatic thing that's really important is to put the most active spaces of the day facing the street, because you want to be involved in the community. You want to have that connection to the community. You want to be able to see what's going on, not only just for interest in being part of the community, but what if something happens and you can see it, right? Because you're facing the street and you're being part of the community. So for us, that was a study that made the most sense, because if you work from home, that's where you're going to be all day. So that's what you should be having at the front of your house. And we looked for a really, really long time, like quite a long time. And then we found this really great lot and this really great community. And then I designed the whole thing myself. And I did all the construction drawings. I did all the permit applications. Like, it was really important that I did everything myself, like everything. So I designed everything myself. I picked everything myself. I did all the permit drawings. I did all the construction drawings. I did the construction administration, and I learned so much. The permanent pieces in the house are neutral colors to hopefully appeal to pretty much everyone who would want to buy the house. And that was very intentional. The way that I injected my own personal style and preferences is through the furniture and through the art. And that's really bright, as you can see. So that was really important and really conscious decision. And so all of the things that you can replace are very personalized, and the things that you can't are very neutral, to hopefully be the backdrop for whoever moves in here to make it their own. It's really nice to work in such a bright and such a well laid out home. I really enjoy it, and I think that the natural light really adds a lot of value to our day. Like right now, there's no lights on, when we're filming, and you don't need a single light on in the entire house. It's really, really nice. So to be able to just rely on natural light all day, I think is a huge treat. The room that we're sitting in right now is my favorite room in the house. I love the volume. I love the light. There's 3 skylights above, and during different times of the year, they reflect where the light is all over the room. Like right now, there's like a little square over there. There's some on the top. And so I love like the mapping of the light throughout the day. I love how it changes. And I love just how it feels, because it's tall, and yes, it is double volume, but I don't think it feels out of scale. Like, I don't think it feels too tall. Like, I still think it feels like really comfortable and welcoming and inviting. Having that basement in the gym is like a game changer. It's so nice. I never had the ability to exercise or do anything like that before work, because you'd have to like get up, go to the gym, shower, come home, get ready. It was like a whole thing, and I didn't have time, and neither of us would have time. And to have access in the basement to do that, it's so nice.